SJ. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ, Stongo, Gary Fife, Jaho Jifkidos, Mvskoke Radio, trying to mumble through this mask here this morning. Welcome to another edition of Mvskoke Radio here on this cold, wet, miserable Oklahoma weather day here today. A couple of things we're going to be talking about. One is extremely contemporary. We'll be talking with staff from our tribe Division of Agricultural and Natural Resources Wildlife Program about hunting permits for Mvskoke citizens. And in the second half of our program, we'll be turning it over to our associate. Oh, I can't even get it out. Here she is. What's her name? Morgan. And she'll be in here talking about some of the contracting ideas and things that are going on regarding COVID grants.
Yep, some more CARES Act funding for everybody.
Okay, and there's quite an interest in that right now. We've got people in our building working on it and going nuts and getting a little. Well, anyway, they're going nuts. We'll leave it at that. Well, we'd like to welcome, Catherine Sonny from whoa, gosh, the Division of Agricultural and Natural Resources. Thank you for making time. We appreciate having you today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now, first of all, we'll toss kind of a softball at you. The Division of Agricultural and Natural Resources Wildlife Program. Now, what is that set up to do and what's its mission?
So our wildlife program is going to be looking at our lands and doing some population studies. We're going to be going out and taking plant inventory and making sure all of our resources are still there and thriving.
All right, now how much of an area does this cover? Is it all 11 districts?
Yes, but right now we are just working in McIntosh County on the 4 designated hunting properties.
All right. Now, when you say hunting permits, you naturally think of Oklahoma State's requirements. I actually do have a senior citizen's license of hunting forever for free. But is it built upon working together? Is it separate? What do we got here?
So what we're offering is actually just permits to go on to our nation's land. This is not a license. You will still need to get an Oklahoma State license and a deer tag to hunt. But what we're offering is our citizens, no one else, to go on to our land and hunt. And in the codes, it says that you must have a wildlife permit to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So this just saves you from getting in trouble if you're on our property. Correct. And you're hunting or fishing or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. And so where is the land at?
It is located in Hannah, down south. And we've got 2,005 acres that we're allowing citizens to hunt right now. We're starting small with just the 4 properties because this is our first year and we don't want to overwhelm ourselves with this new system. Next year we hope to expand, and our end goal would be to have hunting properties in all of our counties within our reservation.
Do you think that the hunting permits will evolve with state maybe? Or do you think it'll just always be limited to our land?
Right now, I will say that it will be just limited. In order to go out to other state lands, right now the state wants us to give up some of our sovereignty. And, you know, if we made a deal with them, they would be able to come onto our land. And, you know.
Yeah, I could see how that would be a problem.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
We're not about to give that.
No. Unfortunately, it seems like there's a lot of situations like that. And they're coming to divide the state and our tribal sovereignty there. It's unfortunate. I think people will get the wrong ideas. Now, you mentioned it covers just the tribal lands that are included now. Let me get this clear. Does it cover like all 11 districts, or are we talking about something smaller and I guess more manageable?
Right now, it'll be just manageable and just smaller. It'll be any fee, trust, and I think that's about it. We're not real sure what we can cover right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, does it? Did you consult with the state, or you sit down with some of their folks and kind of work something out, or just sort of declared this is what it is because of our sovereignty, and this is what will be happening?
That is. That question happened a while ago. Some of the tribes did meet with the state and talked about that. I know that the Choctaw Nation is still going over negotiations right now. I believe that we just cut ties after they said they wanted to come onto our land.
Now, the Cherokee Nation issued hunting permits a couple years back now. Was this idea modeled after them, or did you just kind of walk your own path there?
Well, this is the first year that this program has been established, and we looked at them, we looked at Choctaw Nation, we looked at Chickasaw Nation, and seen what other tribes were doing, and we said we can do this too.
So you guys went by our codes, right, to be able to hand these out. And what was that code like? What does it say?
It's a Title 23, and it said that any citizen must have a permit to hunt, gather, fish on MCN land.
And has that always been that way? When were these codes developed?
I believe they were the latest one came out in 2015, and we haven't really enforced that. And then our McGirt happened, and my position came around, so now we're addressing this.
So you're still kind of working it out, finding your way.
Yes, we're still developing this program. We're still developing what we need to do.
And here we are putting you on the spot, right? Now, a lot of folks are probably thinking, well, I always go hunting in this place, and now do I need a permit on top of my license? Like, for instance, our family has land down around Bristow, and we've always gone down there and harvested a deer or two. And I do have, the state permit, state license. Now, will I need this permit on top of that because it's owned by my brother, restricted, I guess. And what's the situation there? Do I need to kind of apply for another permit or what?
Actually, no. If it is your restricted land, your family land, then you do not need a permit. It's just what the tribe owns and trust and fee.
Right, so there shouldn't be anyone coming on and taking pot shots at me.
Oh, no. You should be in the clear.
So what do you have to do to get a hunting permit from you guys?
All right, so you need to contact myself, and you'll need to sign a liability waiver, and I need a copy of your Creek citizenship card, and that's it. I'll issue you a permit.
Easy peasy.
Okay. Excuse me, geez. Does this only cover certain hunts, certain animals to be harvested, or is it kind of a blanket blank check sort of thing?
Right now, it's kind of a blanket. We're going with the Oklahoma state seasons, so whatever is in season and allows you to hunt within Oklahoma state, we're going to allow the same.
So right now we just started muzzle loader season, and darn it, the weather kept me inside. But it would be good through the end of that season, and then there's a break, and then there's the regular rifle season again.
Yes. So you can go muzzle loading right now, and archery is through January 15th, and that's when we'll end hunting season.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the resources that are out on this hunting land? Like the animals, what can you find out there?
There are deer. There are wild hogs.
Ooh, that's kind of scary.
So be careful with that one.
Yeah. I've seen some photos of some of those hogs, and they're pretty nasty looking suckers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just for instance here, so I'm going out to hunt deer, and I do get a hog in front of me, and for whatever reason I think is appropriate, we might go ahead and harvest that animal. And what happens then? Can I legally do that, or what? Got her there.
Oh, you did. I might have to come back with you with this.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably do some follow-up since this is a new program still and being developed.
So before we go hunting, we have to get a tag. And we can't take off of the land what we don't have a tag for, correct?
Correct.
Because we could get prosecuted in trouble by any other law enforcement agency. We're not on our land anymore.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the requirements now call for you to contact the state folks and report. And okay, I got a buck and 4-pointer. This is my license number, and then you wait for the confirmation number, and then you can take it to get it prepared, fixed up the way you want it. I can't even think of the word here. And that's the requirement. You follow the same guidelines and things. Do we have to report to you also?
No, not at this time. In the future, we'd like to set up little stations where you can check in your deer or whatever you harvest and see where you got it processed and go from there.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a fairly simple idea there, I think, that isn't too hard to follow. Now, I know it's just started. Do you have any response yet? Do you have a number of people checking it out, or are people still pretty curious about it?
Oh, yes. I get phone calls every day asking about it, what they need to do, where to go. Right now, I think it's pretty popular. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people are excited about it.
Yeah, could be.
Mm-hmm.
With economics being tighter now, I think more people might be interested in bringing home a little venison or turkey or something.
I can just imagine the volume of calls you're getting. I mean, I know a lot of, that's kind of a traditional thing for us is to hunt and to do that kind of thing. So anybody's going to jump on some free hunting, I feel like. And it's a good way, for members who aren't hunters to get into it, so I feel like I might even just call you.
Yeah, well, at least have a pretty good idea of what you're doing when you do it.
Right.
You know your weapon, and there's hunter's education courses available here and there. I got mine in Alaska, by the way. I was chasing moose.
Do you guys have any education, hunter's education through your program?
No, not yet.
Not really? Okay.
We'd also like to do that in the future, but right now you can do it online at the Oklahoma Wildlife Department, and we suggest you do that. I mean, it is good to know.
All right, and it's a whole lot more than just pointing your weapon at the animal and pulling the trigger. There's, first of all, you got to make sure it's a legal kill. It would be a legal kill. It teaches you to, pay attention to what's around you. You can't be firing it at someone's residence in the background a highway, things like that.
Are there any residences or highways close to the area? Not really.
No, not really. these lands are down south and kind of rural. They're actually very rural. And I think the closest building there would be the community center, but we have made that zone a no hunting zone.
Okay.
So they are covered.
Okay, great.
Now, I understand we're talking about rural settings here where you have to go. And you're not allowing any ATVs or anything back there? You got to walk in other words?
You have to walk in on foot and walk out. You know, I know we're all used to getting on our ATVs and getting out there and just walking a couple of yards. But for safety purposes, and we don't want to disrupt anybody else's hunting experience, so we'd like you to walk in, and our forefathers did it before us, so.
Yeah, they were using bows and arrows.
Yeah, so why can't we?
We're keeping it traditional.
Okay, well, I always get these visions of this deer hung up on a pole between two guys who are walking it down. I just feel it. Process, that was the word I was looking for you today. Does any of this affect processing? I mean, you still take your harvest to wherever you want and get them worked up like that?
Oh, yeah. After you kill the deer, you can do whatever you want with it. Take it to your favorite place, take it to a new place, do it yourself.
There you go. Keep it traditional and do it yourself.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like being elbow deep in deer guts.
Hey, I've seen it.
I've done it. It's still not too popular with me, but you gotta do it, though. And you have to do it correctly, too, by the way. Now, the tribe has launched this program now, and it's the first year, and you're giving out hunting permits, and you're starting small now. Kind of define small for me. A limited number of permits, or what?
I meant small as in our area.
Okay.
Now, there is no limit to who can go out there and hunt. We're keeping it open. We're treating it like public land, just for our citizens, though.
Okay. And will they be marked? Is there something there, a sign perhaps, or some kind of marker saying this is eligible land, so to speak?
Yes. So all of our lands are fenced in. So you will know if you're leaving our land or not. But there are signs that says MCN land must have a permit to hunt, fish, or gather.
Gather, does that include wild onions?
It does.
It does. Oh, my gosh.
You need a permit for your onions out here.
Oh, man, can you imagine all those elder ladies saying, no, I ain't getting no darn permit. I've been gathering onions here. You can't make me do it.
They're free. They can get a permit.
Yeah, but I'm not telling you where they are, though.
That's the secret.
That's always a well-kept secret.
So what does the liability form protect somebody against, or us, or whatever?
Okay, it just basically says, if you do decide to put a stand out there or some cameras, if something were to happen to that Mvskoke Creek Nation is not responsible.
Okay.
That's
good to know.
Put it out there on your own risk. But so far, the feedback from some of our hunters, they're having a great time. No one's messed with anything. We also have 2 game wardens that are patrolling those areas daily. And
now, would their responsibilities include, dealing with poachers or people obviously are not citizens and got the attitude, well, I've hunted here forever, you can't tell me what I can or can't do, this kind of thing? That's a kind of a law enforcement sort of thing.
It is. That is what our game wardens will be looking out for. So if you were not a citizen and you especially, couldn't get a permit, you're on federal land. That's trespassing on federal land, and they can write you a ticket, and you will be fined.
Is that all? I mean, I remember up in Alaska, if you got yourself in a jam, they could confiscate everything right on the spot. I mean, guns, your transportation, whatever harvest you have, maybe even your tent if you've got one out there. Does it go that far?
I'm not sure. Okay. This would be a question for our game wardens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet they could take your animal or something that you had.
Oh, yeah.
That's happened to us before. Somebody was hunting on our land, and they had a deer, and we took their animal, or the game warden took it and gave it to us.
Oh,
so,
that's
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
It doesn't go to waste then.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to waste it.
Was it good chili?
Yeah, it was very good. Good deer steaks.
Oh, boy. The idea, I think, is just amazing that we would exercise more sovereignty over our lands by going to one of these recreational activities like this. Has there been any other formal statement from the tribe, the administration, like the chief or somebody about this program?
No, not yet. I think he's just going to see how it goes this year and tell us what we need to do.
Yeah. I wonder if he goes hunting.
I was just thinking the same thing. I would like to see him out there.
Hey, David. The possibility of some collision between state and tribal entities it looms larger on the surface, and we kind of have our differences with the governor. Do you have any problems with that? Have your crew found a way to work together with the state officials? Or is that still yet to be developed?
That is in development right now.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it seems like a fine line. You're on our land and it's okay, and then you're off our land, so it's, that falls into state hands immediately.
Mm-hmm.
According to this press release, you have 4 areas designated. And I presume this would affect just only those 4, and nothing else. Now, McIntosh County, is it?
Yes.
Okay, can you give us an idea of where those spots are?
Yes, I can. We have maps of these properties on the website. So you can actually go and see where they are, but they are all in Hannah. Like I said, they're all together. There's 2,005 acres for our citizens to hunt.
And that'll take you right to it, won't it, that map?
It will. So these don't necessarily have addresses, but we do have the coordinates. So if you can just put that into your GPS, and it'll take you right to it.
Or the old-fashioned way, read a map.
Yeah, or that.
Topographical map, okay. I worked at a fire crew, and they had those kind of maps.
You just take your fingers and you make sure they go to the spot, huh?
Yeah. And if it's on fire, get out. Now, the permits are valid from when to when? Now, again, let's review that.
All right. So they are valid from October 1st to March 1st of 2021. And then in the spring, we'll issue new permits for the spring turkey season.
Okay. You think you'll have a lot more fishermen by that time?
Oh, yes, and we'll do fishing permits as well.
Awesome. Cool. That's what I like to do.
Really? Yeah. So the tribe does exercise its sovereignty over some of the lakes and rivers and things?
I think we do have some streams and ponds and some other bodies of water that we're going to exercise our sovereignty over. And our department will be doing, fish counts and population studies on that, and seeing where we are and what fish are in this body of water.
Wow, so y'all are really expanding as a department. That's awesome.
Yes, that's our goals.
Yeah.
Well, the opportunity to do this, of course, it's the season and people are interested in doing it, but kind of like the idea of having a tribal stamp of approval, so to speak. That doesn't guarantee you'll harvest anything, though.
You're going to get an Indian deer.
Yeah. Go out and throw rocks at it or something. Okay, now, will your program be extending this educational process throughout the year? I mean, obviously they set it up, and you're going to do more than just the hunting season part of the year. So what occupies the rest of your time, so to speak?
like I said, population studies and looking for endangered species. We're going to be looking at some bats because we have bats. Mm-hmm, yeah, we have got roughly 28 different species of bats in Oklahoma.
What?
2 are endangered.
Gosh.
And so we might have some of those on our land. And we're just going to be looking for different species of concern.
Right. Of course, this being Halloween season, everyone's thinking.
I was just thinking that. I was like, how perfect. Yeah. We got bats.
There used to be a bat right there, but now there's this guy in a long black cape.
Spiritual.
Spiritual, yeah. Oh, then nothing will help you there except turning tail and getting out of there. The idea that these codes have existed for some time now, maybe we can take a quick look at that. Now, if someone was interested in finding and looking them up and reading them themselves, where could these be located?
You can go to the MCN website and go into the governmental tab bar, and I believe I can't exactly remember which branch, but if you type in codes, they all should come up.
Okay. Do you have any ideas on numbers? I know this is second year of this program?
Very first.
Very first.
Very first. It started in March.
Okay, so you might not have any idea how many people are doing this, or do you have a number of permits that have been issued?
As of this morning, we have 55.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
Sounds good. I want to know those areas just to stay out of them and keep my head down. Okay, well, I tell you what, now, I'm sure there are going to be people with lots of questions saying, if I got this permit, do I need this permit kind of thing, or where do I get it and how do I qualify? Now, can you give me some idea how to get in touch with you?
Yes. So you can either call me at 918-549-2543 or send me an email at Sunny, SUNNY, at mcn-nsn.gov. Or all that information is on the Ag and Natural Resources tab on the MCN website.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, sounds good. Sounds like I won't have to have one since we're on my brother's land.
Unless you go to our land.
Yes.
Then you will need one.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I will. I certainly will. All right. Well, thank you, Catherine Sunny, for coming in and kind of give us the first idea of what's available now, what this new program's all about, and how to get in touch with you. Any last comments or questions, Morgan?
I don't think so. Any citizen can get one, so I think everybody should, right? Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Let's hunt.
Yeah, kind of pride in our own sovereignty there. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back in about 60 seconds, and we're going to talk about some of the contracting and things that are going on and find out what programs are there, how one group has been using it, and other information. So please stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio, here on The Brew.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Hear that? That's the sound of Hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
You're listening to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew, 1240 AM and 106.3 FM. And you can hear us online, by the way, for those folks who are out of our radio signal reach at 1240thebrew.com. Okay, Morgan, you've got this chunk of the program, so why don't you introduce your guest, and we'll be off and running.
All right, so today I have with me Steve Emerson. He is the Director of Tribal Construction. And so we're going to kind of hit some of the ways that tribal construction is using the CARES Act funding that we received as a tribe, back during the summer. So, Steve, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Thank you. Glad to have you here. So do you want to kind of explain you said you have 3 major projects, right, that are CARES Act related?
That is correct. We have other smaller projects, but we'll focus on the 3 large ones today. We did get some money, and we had to spend it, and we had to justify how we spent it. And so the first project that we decided to build is called the Safe Space Facility. During the pandemic, we had to send a lot of employees home because we couldn't social distance. We could not follow CDC guidelines and still work. And so we came up with an idea to build a facility that we could house employees and be able to social distance and be able to keep them safe. And therefore, that's where it gets its name, Safe Space Facility. And that facility is located, if you're familiar with the Omniplex, it is just to the north of the Dome. And that building is 20,787 square feet. It will have space for 64 Mvskoke Creek Nation employees to work safely. And we also have an idea of maybe making that a central location for citizens when they come to do business with the tribe. Right now, citizens are having to do everything with computers and phones, and it would be nice for citizens to be able to visit our campus and do their business.
Yeah. Sometimes that doesn't work for everybody, doing everything
Correct.
Over the phone.
Especially the older citizens, they don't like to.
Yeah, they don't, no.
And so I think this is going to be a good opportunity for those citizens to come to one location and do all their business instead of having to travel all over the tribe and go to multiple buildings.
Right. So does this have the inside of this? Is it like 64 cubicle type things, or every office area is like
correct?
Sectioned off?
When you come in when you enter the front of the building, there's going to obviously be some windows where employees will be greeting the citizens and doing business. But the actual workers, yes, they will be in a large area with cubicles and separated. And this facility is built and designed in such a way that you could have big events. You can partition it off and have some pretty big events and still social distance.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm excited to see that. What phase is that building in?
It's coming along really well. I mean, I think if the weather changes to our favor, it'll probably be dried in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it went up quick.
So if you're in the area and you look back behind the dome, you'll see a building.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Used to be an open field, I think, where they shot off the fireworks. Right? So now access in and out of that area is kind of tight. North of it, there's that one residential road that kind of goes by these people's houses. Other than that, you have to go back through the fairground, so to speak. Are those openings going to be expanded, make access easier?
The residential road that you're speaking about that goes from this facility to Gun Club Road, we won't immediately build that road out, but eventually that's our plans. For near future use, you'll have to come through the Omniplex.
Okay, yeah. But you'd have to acquire that land in the future and
what you're going to do. Yeah, we do own some land in that area other than what we built this facility on, but we would have to put that road on a inventory for us. We can probably get federal roads to put that on their inventory and build that out, but it's going to take a year.
So were we able to expend quite a bit of funds on this project?
Yes. We are expending funds. We had a lot of funds to spend, but Ms. Branson, the Secretary of Commerce, has to make sure that what we're spending this money for is an eligible expense. And
Right.
so we're very careful how we spend it.
Right. Do you want to go ahead and talk about one of the other projects?
Yes, the next one I'm going to talk about is what we're calling the PPE storage warehouse. And so when the pandemic hit, GSA was receiving a lot of PPE equipment, and their current office space and their warehouse, their mail room is very small. And so we have, or GSA has had to store stuff all over the campus. We don't have a warehouse that's big enough to house it. And so this
that can be confusing because then you're like, where is it? Where
Correct,
is everything?
It'll make it a lot easier if the pandemic continues, or if we have another pandemic, it'll be perfect.
Oh, yeah. So what phase is that building in right now?
That building is kind of a different kind of construction. It's going to be tilt-up concrete walls. And so if you're driving by, you see all the workers, you see all the equipment. But what you don't see is they have got prepared. All of the walls are ready to pour right now. As soon as the weather breaks, they'll start pouring walls. The walls have to sit there on the ground for 28 days before they can erect them. So, you know, if the weather cooperates, by December, you'll see a very large building.
So we need 28 days of fair weather.
Well, the concrete, we just need a couple days to pour the concrete.
Okay,
It can
gotcha.
cure. And in the rain, it can still cure.
This time of year, you're going to be hard pressed to get 28 days.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. It almost snowed the other day. Are we able to expend a lot of funds using that building project too?
Yes, so that building, it's an expensive building because it's not just a warehouse. It's also going to be our data center. So 2,400 square feet of this building is allotted to the data center, and that's a pretty expensive endeavor.
Oh, I
in
can
itself.
imagine, yeah.
And then not just the data center, but we're going to have GSA shipping and receiving there. And so they're going to have 4 offices, and they're going to have a large mail room. It's going to be 2 loading docks. I mean, it's going to be a really nice warehouse.
Well, that's good. They needed it because where they're at now is very small. It's right across from us, and it's very small.
It's very small.
Where is this one located?
This one is located at the industrial site, which is just north of McCoy's Lumber, north of Gun Club Road.
Okay.
So if you're driving down Highway 75 and you look, you'll see it.
Well, I have actually, and kind of wondered what it was, whether or not it was some new merchandise kind of thing, grocery store, something like that. And I kind of wondered, well, if it's like a Reese's, then it's kind of set back from the highway a bit. But right now, it's something completely different. Then.
It's a little bit more accessible than where they're at now, though, for sure.
Yeah, it's really located in a perfect location for receiving big shipments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's right off of Highway 75, and there will be a very nice road coming off of Highway 75. They're going to be building that concrete entry soon.
Okay, that'll be awesome. That'll be good for everybody. And so we have one more really big project that I think a lot of people know about, and that's the meat processing, right? And that's with CARES Act funding. Do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit?
Correct, yes, and the way we can justify spending money on a meat processing plant with CARES Act money, anybody and everybody knows that when the pandemic hit, the 2 things that you could not get when you went to the store was toilet paper and meat.
Mm-hmm.
And
The 2 most important things.
Yeah. And so we didn't realize it, or I didn't realize it. The state of Oklahoma has a shortage of meat processing plants. And so we depend on other states to provide meat to us. And so, you know, not only will it help our citizens, you know, if we get in a bind again, we'll be able to provide food for citizens. But it's also going to be a facility that anybody can take a steer to or a pig to get it butchered. You know, they're going to custom butcher. And right now, if you had a calf fed out and ready to butcher, you're going to wait 6 months before you could get it in to get it slaughtered.
Sure, then it won't be a calf anymore.
No, you might as well keep it.
Well, here's a weird question. I think it stems from the interview we just did. Meat processing. Is there any thought about processing venison, during hunting season?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that question because that's designed in the facility. It will be a seasonal thing, but potentially 300, 400, 500 deer a year will be processed in that facility.
That'll create a good revenue.
That's going to be another good thing for the citizens, and not just Creek citizens, anybody.
Right.
Yeah, and having, a local meat processing plant, you're not having meat travel for days, back to our state to go on the shelf for days or whatever. So that's pretty good. What phase is that in?
That's in the very early stages. That was the last project that we selected, and so it was a little bit behind. And unfortunately, a meat processing plant is very complicated to design. And so it's about 95% design, but it's designed to the point that they could start. As a matter of fact, all the equipment's on site. They're ready to break ground. They're just waiting for it to stop raining.
Where is that located at?
That is located just south of the Duck Creek Casino. So if you're driving down Highway 75 headed north, right before you get to the casino, you'll see it on the same side of the highway.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I knew that, but I wanted everybody else to know that. And on October, 9th, they broke ground, right?
Correct. We had a really good groundbreaking, and like you said, a lot of people are more excited about this facility because it's really going to be nice for this community, not just Creek Nation, but the whole community.
Oh, yeah. I definitely, even though it was in Tulsa World, many outlets were on this project. So when is that one supposed to be done?
Our goal is to have it done by the end of February, and that seems impossible, but that's what we're shooting for.
And okay. Weather permitting.
Yes, weather permitting. It's also going to be tilt-up concrete walls on the main part of the building, and that kind of speeds construction up. So we've got a game plan.
Well, in this plan, have you considered the number of jobs that we'll be providing? I know that may not be exactly your end of the business, but how many people are going to be able to go to work? And I'm sure that's crossed everybody's mind right there, particularly in these tough economic times. Jobs. Do you have any suggestions?
Yes, I can answer that question for you. Trent Kazee, the manager of Ag and Natural Resource, is over that, but I have been in meetings with him. And I know initially, and I know he's already posted jobs right now for the facility, and I know initially they're going to hire 5 people immediately, and then they're going to kind of work their way into about 25 employees.
Mm-hmm. Now, these entry-level jobs, or do you have to have some sort of background in it?
Of course, the manager of the facility would, if you look up the job posting, I think they prefer a degree, but they do have to have experience, not just in meat processing, but also in management. And then, some of the jobs you wouldn't have to have a lot of skills to start because you could learn on the job.
Yeah, I'm sure that crossed a lot of minds.
Yeah, and it's funny, even my dad was asking me about that job because he was like, that'd be something I'm interested in. It's an interesting position, getting to learn that skill. That's almost a skill that's dying. So what size is this building?
The meat processing plant is about 25,000 square feet.
So all of these buildings are very large with a very short time span. What happens if we don't meet the deadlines?
Well, we don't really know at this point.
Okay.
But we work with contractors that are over these jobs, and they know the deadline, and they know if they go past the deadline, there's going to be severe liquidated damages. And so they're going to do everything humanly possible to get them finished on time.
Well, I'm going to pray for them.
And that kind of drives the cost up.
Yeah.
If they're paying overtime and they're working people on the weekends, it drives the price up.
Yeah, I can see that. So do you want to kind of talk about maybe some other projects, maybe not CARES Act fund related, that you have going on? I know you have several.
Yes, we do. And just to give you a little background on tribal construction, we have an office that has about 9 employees in the office most of the time, and that ranges from a civil engineer, a professional engineer, to a professional surveyor, to project managers, CAD technicians. So we do a lot of design in the office, in-house design. That saves money, speeds up the projects, and so if it's a smaller project, our group will take care of all that. And then we have about 12 people that are out in the field working every day, and they have a very broad skill set. We have workers out in the field that are expert machine operators, heavy equipment operators. We have certified welders. We have very good carpenters. We have some of the best concrete finishers in the state. And so we're able to self-perform a lot of the work that's not sizable like these projects.
Right.
And then the office staff has oversight over these very, very large projects to make sure everything's going right, make sure nobody's taking advantage of us, because that's a lot of money. And, and we're just good stewards of that money. And so our outside crew right now, our biggest job that we're working on is the Three Ponds development, and it's a housing development that's located on Mission. If you're familiar with Okmulgee, if you're on Mission, right across from the high voltage, OSUIT high voltage.
Okay, yeah, I had wondered what that was. So that's going to be the elderly housing.
Correct.
Right?
That will have 72 houses, and it'll have a little community center there in that project. And that's a 40-acre site, and we had to take on the earthwork for that project because it was over budget. And we have been on that job for about 2 months, and it consists of 1.3 million cubic yards of earthwork. So it's a lot of work.
Wow.
We've got about 6 dump trucks going. We've got 2 dozers and 2 track hoes going all day, every day.
Yeah, when I drive by there to go to lunch too, and I'm always noticing that people are just still working on it. So what funding did that come from? Is that like some HUD funding?
That was HUD funding, and the tribe matched some funding. So
okay.
It's both.
Do you know if there was like a need for elderly homes, or is this like a grant that they are doing?
There's definitely a need. I know, just talking with housing, I think they've already got all 72 units spoken for.
Oh, wow. Well, that's amazing. Well, I'm glad to hear that nobody's going to have to go homeless. So.
Yeah, and since you brought that up, that's another little project that we're using CARES Act money for. Anna Sterner with Food Distribution, she's kind of leading this project, but it's called Tiny Home Village.
I had seen that, and I was wondering about that. So what, are y'all in a stage where that's going to be started soon?
Correct.
Okay, cool.
We're actually in the design phase, and that's one of the projects that we're designing. And so we'll get it designed, then we'll put it out to bid, and it's got to be done in a timely manner also. But that little tiny home village will take care of homeless elders.
Right.
You know, because they don't have enough elderly housing. Sometimes there's no place to go with them, and they're struggling trying to put them in a motel. And so by having this little tiny home village, they can take care of those elders until they find a permanent place for them.
So that'll be more like a transitional type of living assistance, right?
Correct.
Yeah, until they can put them somewhere. Well, that's awesome. So what else do you guys have going on?
Well, let me see. I was counting this morning. I know we've got 62 projects on our list.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm just trying to highlight some of them.
Wow. So did y'all have to take off for COVID at all?
We took off. You know, everybody was scared and uncertain in the beginning. And there was a mandate that went out, you know, to send everybody home.
Uh-huh.
And so there was a few programs that were essential that was noted. And, you know, nationally, construction was essential.
Uh-huh.
And so after about 2 weeks of my employees going home, we called them all back, and we've been working every day ever since. And we've been pretty fortunate.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how y'all could take off. Y'all have so much going on, but that's a good thing. Y'all have oversight over the CMN College of Muskogee Nation Natural Resources Building, correct?
Correct, and I'm glad you brought that up. So we have, currently we have a building going up, the Natural Resource Building, and it's dried in. We've got a lot of work left to do on it, but it's dried in, and that's a good thing. When you get it dried in, weather don't bother you. So we're going to try to get that completed by the end of December.
Okay, so just here in a couple months.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then they also got awarded the ICDBG grant for a lecture hall. And so we're in the very early stages of that. We're getting ready to put out an RFP for design. And so that's coming soon for Mvskoke College.
Awesome. So everywhere is expanding, and I'm just so happy to hear that.
Well, while you're kind of heading in that direction, all of this activity sound like a real economic shot in the arm for the tribe. So if you were going to take all of your activities and everything on your slate, how would you characterize it? Is it a period of real growth, or is it kind of wait and see? Is it slightly being depressed? How would you characterize that?
I'm going to say it's growth. Thanks to the CARES Act money, it's definitely growth. I mean, we're going to have some great facilities that we wouldn't otherwise have. So in a way, the pandemic is a blessing to the tribe. We've had a lot of people get sick. We've had people that we've lost. But in the long run, it's going to be a blessing.
And what about the community here? Okmulgee and the tribe work together pretty closely in many things, and have obviously some differences here and there. But how would you see that working together?
I think it's going to continue to work together well. I think the Mvskoke Creek Nation has worked with Okmulgee, the city of Okmulgee, in the past, and I think we'll continue to work with them in the future. The council house, the street in front of the council house, that was funded by Creek Nation. And coming soon, the visitor center, that's on our radar too. That's one of our projects. So the old Sharps building directly across from the council house, we have plans to completely redo that building. It's going to be a very nice facility.
Well, while we're on that subject, can you give us an idea of what the finished product will be out in front of the council house? I know the streets have been changed around, and are they going to put in lights? So is it going to be a pedestrian walkway all the way? What's the thought?
I mean, the design for Main Street, coming down Main Street, they're taking out all the stoplights, and it's going to be real pedestrian friendly. Traffic will be flowing slow, and if you've noticed the speed bumps that they're putting in, that'll be all the way down. So hopefully we won't have people ramping over those speed bumps.
I hope not.
And that's kind of what it was designed for, to kind of slow the traffic down, make it pedestrian friendly. And far as the visitor center, when you look at it, the historic front of the building is going to stay in place. All we're going to do to that is kind of touch up the mortar and the brick and kind of clean it up, but the historic part will still be there.
So this is going to be like a visitor's attraction, historic type place.
Correct.
Awesome.
And yes, and it'll also have a rooftop balcony. So
wow, how nice.
Yeah, you'll be able to take an elevator up to the roof and have a dinner or have a meeting, whatever.
How nice is that? That's
Until
amazing.
the mosquitoes get you.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like then you're becoming a real force in this Okmulgee Rising kind of thing. What I'm hearing here is going to pretty much transform the face of downtown. Is that kind of where you're going?
Correct. And Mvskoke Creek Nation, I haven't worked directly with Okmulgee, but we do have people at Creek Nation that go to all their meetings and kind of coordinate and try to help the city of Okmulgee as much as we can.
Well, it's the capital of the Creek Nation, so. Is there any other projects that you'd like to touch on before the end of our segment here?
Yeah, one more. Everybody's heard about the McGurk case. Everybody's heard about the reservation, and so Light Horse is having to expand. And so we've got a couple of projects that we're working with Light Horse on. If you're familiar with Eufaula, the old Eufaula Clinic, it's been abandoned since the new clinic opened, and It was actually on our demo list. We were going to demo it, but Light Horse wants to take that building and kind of renovate it, and they're going to house FBI and federal marshals in that building and possibly, receive rent payment for that.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, we had them here last week, and they have so much going on with this McGirt thing. So much. It's crazy.
Yeah, with the requirements involved in bigger caseloads and more responsibility for Light Horse, you see that growing. I was kind of wondering how they were going to handle it. They've got the facility here on campus, but I was thinking, my God, they need some kind of satellite operation somewhere.
Yeah, and we're also getting ready to move in a big modular building kind of by the industrial site right across from McCoy's. That's in the works too. And so Tribal Construction, once again, will have to do all the foundations for it and do the temporary parking and get the utilities to it.
So that industrial park area then will be transformed here pretty well in the next few years?
Correct. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but we have a master plan for that site, and so we're kind of having to look at the master plan and make sure we're not veering away from it. GSA was supposed to move over there anyway. Fleet has already moved over there, and so we're just kind of updating the master plan as we go. Of course, the Light Horse modular building is temporary. It won't be there forever.
Okay, so that'll be like a business hub for us at some point.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several departments that will be in that industrial site. Tribal Construction will be there.
Oh, you guys will be moving over
Correct.
there as well?
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, I once upon a time heard some, I guess, daydreaming about somebody putting in a Reese's there or something like that. Is that pretty much fantasy land?
I think that might be a fantasy right now.
Okay, that probably would include my idea for putting a White Castle hamburger joint there, too. You ever had a White Castle?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, if you go up north, Minneapolis got tons of them. Well, it sounds like the tribe is really seized control of its future through this kind of construction. What sorts of timelines, again, are we talking about getting, what you mentioned, 3 or 4 different projects? How long is this going to take?
We're still shooting for the end of February.
Oh, my God.
For the CARES Act funded
Yeah.
projects, yeah.
We've got lots of people, we've got different contractors working on different projects, and they've got a lot of manpower, and they know the timeline. And so it's got to happen fast. This is going to be world record construction.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, now, does that mean, well, I don't want to sound negative here, but sometimes speed could kind of work against you.
It can. You're taking a risk when you're working that fast, and especially the meat processing plant, because it's a complicated project.
And hygienics and things like that are so important there, too. So.
Correct. And we didn't mention this, but that meat processing plant is going to be a USDA certified plant. And so, yeah, the guidelines are very stringent. And we've got a lot of consultants working with us on the design to make sure that everything is on the up and up. We don't want to have to go back and rework anything.
Right. Those jobs are so expensive when you have to tear something down and build it.
Correct.
Okay.
We just have a couple minutes left, but I think one good thing to mention is that all the contractors and stuff that you guys are working with, a lot of them are Native American-owned businesses, correct?
Correct.
That's awesome to me. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, Steve, and talking with me again. It was nice to talk to you. I'm sure I'll be in touch with you more about these projects. So thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having us.
Okay, well, we'll probably be knocking on your door again and giving us an update on how things are going, particularly the meat plant. I think that's fascinating. And that's also one that kind of fluctuates as the market does, right?
I don't think it will fluctuate. I think there's going to be a demand, a never-ending demand. I think, I don't think it'll be big enough in the end.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We want to say we're going to wrap this up and talk about next week. No, we're not going to do that. All right. I'm just going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for sitting in and listening with us. Please join us next week again for more Mvskoke Radio. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Madam.